I know. You're wondering, what is a place like me doing in a girl like this?
Yeah, something like that.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are also joined by a very special guest, my friend Ellen. Ellen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Eleanor Clover, the author of 7% of Roe Devereaux, which is a YA novel that has a romance plot that I would say rivals the love between Rick and Evie in The Mummy.
Wow. Okay, powerful statement.
I got chills.
Strong self-promo right out the gate.
Chills.
I do what I can, you know.
As the shameless self-promoter of the pod, I respect it and I love it. And I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. I love the podcast and it's a joy to talk to you in person instead of just listening to you when I drive in my car.
Yeah, Ellen's a longtime listener. She saw she came with me when I saw Bodies.
Sure did.
She was an enjoyer for the record. But when I was staying with her, I was just like, Ellen, what is your favorite movie of all time? And do you know what she said? Immediately, without thinking. She said The Mummy.
Oh, and she's got the Mummy merch on. Oh, she's got
We
the
love
Mummy
a good
merch
mummy
on.
merch.
Yeah.
Ellen, tell us about what you're wearing tonight.
I am wearing a beautiful oversized t-shirt that has a picture of Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in a loving embrace. And it says, The Mummy 1999 is perfect. Which is true.
It's a
Where's
super
the
yucky
lie?
classic, is it not?
It sure is. And Chelsea is the one that sent me the link to it.
And I sent it to you multiple times until a purchase was made. Yeah.
Yep. She really guilted me into it. It didn't take much though.
I mean, it's the decision that needs to be made. I slept on the bumper sticker that they have that says honk if you'd rather be watching the 1999 cinematic masterpiece The Mummy starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Is it Weisz or Weisz? I need to know this moving into this entire episode about the movie.
I thought it was Weisz, but I could
I
definitely
think
be
it's
wrong.
Weisz, but
I've been saying it with a weird V sound my whole life.
It's got that Z in there. I understand you
it's
putting
like
some flair on it.
Rachel Weisz. I think it's like
Ooh,
Sing it.
Rachel Weisz. We have to sing it like that the whole time.
there's a song.
Wikipedia says it is maybe with a V sound.
Yeah.
Is it going to
Oh.
speak this for me when
Okay, Monica.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know about stuff. Anyway, spoiler alert. We're covering The Mummy today. Yeah. And listeners, just for 1 second, let me just say I've missed you. This is our first episode back after a 2-week hiatus, and it's felt like 7 years. And I forgot what the sound of my own voice sounds like. I forgot about what Sydney looks like. I don't know who Chelsea is anymore because it's been 2 weeks, even though I saw probably both of them within that time span. But we've missed you so much, and we're back with 2023 with a bang, with the greatest film of all time potentially. And so starting out, if you've never seen The Mummy, I could burst into I'm emotional. I'm crying right now because you've never lived. If you've never seen The Mummy, then you've never lived.
Sure.
But if you need a little context, there's a beautifully written IMDb little plot line for you. How about that? An archaeological dig in the ancient city of, okay, I got to practice all of these words. Hold on. Hamunaptra. Got it.
Good job. Yeah.
An American serving in the French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak havoc as he searches for the reincarnation of his long-lost love. That actually explained a lot of the beginning of the movie to me, that I didn't quite understand. Like the whole Brendan Fraser intro part, didn't get it. But apparently it was part of the French Foreign Legion. Who knew? Certainly did not.
I sure didn't either, but that really explains why he shouts in French when you first see him.
I was like, why is he in a war? Why is he speaking French? I'm just completely lost, but it doesn't matter because the movie's not about that.
I just knew it was very sexy. I love when people yell at me in French, quite frankly.
Agree. Fully agree.
Sure.
If you're gonna yell at me, it should probably be in French because I won't know the mean things that you're saying,
Yeah,
and it'll sound
But
nice.
it's gonna
so
sound sexy.
exactly,
support
you could be
that.
saying something romantic. It sounds like it. Sorry, French people,
Just
if
with
you're
so much
listening.
passion in your voice and your tone, your body. Yeah.
Oh man. But okay. Again, if you haven't seen The Mummy, stop what you're doing, go watch it. But if you have,
It's
then you know.
literally, yeah, I mean, it's available streaming for free on Hulu right now if you're listening, presumably for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you have to watch it. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes long, and it's the best 2 hours and 5 minutes that you'll ever experience. We're being a little overzealous, but it's true. And it has the best cast in the entire world, probably. I don't know. Every time I watch this, I find someone else attractive, that I hadn't really noticed before. Haven't really given
Like
the time
Benny?
to.
Who was it this time?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I have a lot of Benny thoughts. I have a lot of Benny thoughts, and none of them are I'm into him. I'm not there
Oh.
yet, but give me another watch. Give
Next
me
time,
another
maybe.
watch.
You'll be on the lookout next time.
Oh, Benny. But
I
I
think
mean,
that's cute. I loved his eyeliner.
I did like the eyeliner. I did love the eyeliner so much.
Mhm.
We love a good
But-
guy liner moment.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing the all around eyeliner thing because I've watched all those TikToks about putting it on and then washing your face. And so Benny has already done that. He's already
Sure.
perfected that look. And
I think you need some stress sweat to really bring it home, but
No, you
maybe
need the
washing your face will
fez.
do it.
you need the
Okay.
fez too. That's the only way to make it happen.
Monica, you'd look great in a fez.
You
I'm
know
sure
what?
she
You're
has
not the
one.
first person to say that to me, and I thank you. Sorry.
What can I say? I'm a giver of compliments.
Okay, wait. So, Monica, who was your new sexy person this time around?
Well, I was giving some moments for the Americans this time. Another person who I think is sexy, and I just think he's sexy because he's in a lot of films. Eric Avari, the guy who plays the doctor, Terrence Bay, the doctor who is Evie, Rachel Weisz's
Oh, her boss.
boss. I think that he's
Mm.
handsome in an exciting way.
Yeah,
Another
he's a cutie.
a problematic feeling that I had as well was that Jonathan Hyde, who plays Dr. Alan Chamberlain, he is wildly misogynistic in this movie. I still thought he looked hot in the Fez too. Also, isn't he an anaconda?
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah, an icon, a mean icon. He's a bad boy icon.
He loves to play that kind of role, I guess.
I know. And I don't think I've given enough time to Emotet in the past. Arnold Vosloo, I don't know how to say his last name. But that man looks gorgeous in this film. And I read some trivia, and he had to be shaved 2 times a day to be that shiny. And that's commitment. Shaved
Twice a
2 times a
day.
day, twice a day. His whole body had to have no hair. I don't know, did it really need to have no hair? But that is what the internet has told me. I have referenced it in the references. Okay, you can see my sources. And apparently they did attempt waxing so it would last longer. And I think it went really bad because he
He
vetoed
didn't like
that
it.
shit. And then so they did the 2 shave a day instead, which is fair. I don't wax either, honey. I get it.
Get over
Twice a
it.
day,
Beauty
though.
is
Wow.
pain.
He's a shiny boy, and he's
And his
filled
whole
with powerful
body, though.
rage.
Men don't like that. I don't know why, but
Have you seen the 40-year-old virgin? Excuse me. We know how that goes.
Sure. I guess I've never had my chest waxed, so maybe it is a uniquely painful experience. I guess it's not for me to weigh in
It's a
on.
little sensitive
Here's
skin
the thing.
area,
If I can get my pussy waxed, you can get your chest waxed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Anyway,
Arnold couldn't, and that's all right. But okay, then I've told you about my new sexy hotties. Who are your sexiest hotties of this movie? Who really gets you going? Because it's that kind of a film.
it is a film full of sexy people. I maintain that Benny is one of them, so I really don't know why nobody else is picking that up. But obviously, Anoksunamen, like her first entrance is like a show-stopping moment. And especially you think she's in like these fishnet like stockings, this like bodysuit, and then you discover it's literally just paint and a loincloth. Like it's incredible.
Oh, she looks so good. The body paint.
I'm
Could
really
not
into
breathe
body
Gorgeous.
paint.
when she was strutting. And she is the actress who plays her isn't actually an actress. She's a Peruvian supermodel.
And
for
an
her.
I
actress.
believe
She
it.
was
Well, now
incredible in
she's-
this.
Well, now she is, but she, like before this, you know, and apparently she's like the main antagonist in the sequel.
Mhm,
does,
Yeah,
like,
I
a
was gonna
Be
say,
a sequel?
I
Yeah.
was gonna watch. I did watch this movie twice. And the first time I watched it was with Ellen, and Ellen is an expert on the film. But I was realizing when we started it that like I don't think I've watched this movie in 20 years, probably. Like I did not really remember much of it. And I have seen scenes that I guess are from the sequel that I kept expecting to be part of this movie, and they were simply not.
No, I
Sad,
mean,
sad
this
for
movie
me.
and
Sad for
its score.
Anoksunamen.
I know. I also was like, doesn't she get to like at least be sexy again at the end? No, it's in the entire second film. But yeah, I mean, this movie, I don't know even if I watched the full thing as a kid. I mostly have child memories of the ride because I
The
waited
ride at
in line
Universal.
on
Yeah.
opening day for the ride. Like I literally was there on opening day. It was like a 5-hour line. It was terrible. It was in the middle of the summer. It was so hot. It was disgusting. I stand by it. Me and my
Worth
dad
it.
waited in line for 5 hours. That ride fucking slaps. That is the best ride that there is. That is my favorite ride
It was so
ever.
scary.
You
The
get to go
scarab part
backwards.
freaked my fucking shit out when I was little.
Yeah, well, okay, that's intentional.
The scarabs
That
are
was
also
their
the
goal.
scariest part of the movie, so
Yeah.
that tracks.
Uh-huh.
They're so
Yeah.
that's
Ugh.
something that's really interesting about this movie because like it has such an interesting history. Like I mentioned, the ride's at Universal. This is a Universal property. It is part of the Dark Universe.
The Dark Universe.
Which is the DCU, the Dark Cinematic Universe, which is my favorite thing to talk about. But this movie went through so many iterations before we actually got anything because it was originally a 1932 classic horror film. I've not seen it. I'm sorry. Have any of you?
No.
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 I didn't even know
I
that.
would. I would. And it's like a no. I think it was like there are a few movies. Like there was like a series of mummies movies. back in the
franchise?
day. Yeah, a franchise, some might say. A mummy cinematic universe before they even did cinematic universes. And like since the 80s, they were trying to bring it back. Universal's like, we need that money, honey. And they're trying so hard. And they had so many people attached to it to make it like a true horror movie, you know, like because this is on a horror movie podcast, but we have loosey goosey rules. So there's some horror elements for sure. But would we call this a true horror movie, ladies? What do we think?
I don't know. You got mad at me when I said Bones and All was an unconventional in the horror genre. So I think we can keep it as a wide, expansive,
I agree.
all-encompassing.
No,
But yeah,
yeah,
it's like horror comedy. It's monster movie for sure.
and it's
Mhm.
romance and it's an adventure movie. It's giving Indiana Jones, like it's got all of these things, but they're trying to make it true horror. So they first had George Romero attached to the project back in like the 80s, but that didn't work out. Then they had Clive Barker write a treatment for this, which also the guy who did Hocus Pocus, Mick Garris did one too.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah. The Clive Barker one was apparently like darker and more violent, dark, sexual, and filled with mysticism. I would have loved to see it. Have y'all seen Hellraiser?
That appeals to me.
I just
I haven't
recently
seen
watched.
Hellraiser, but
I just saw it for the first time, like in the last 2 months. Fucked. We'll do it on the pod. So I can only imagine his take on this sweet, sweet film. And even Joe Dante was in the mix for a minute, our Gremlins boy. And he had a whole thing planned with Daniel Day-Lewis playing the monster. It was like a beautiful vision. How wonderful for him. But all of these things got scrapped and they weren't working until, what's his name? Steven Summers? Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Steven Summers. He wrote his own version. And that's what we got today. And he went a little fun with it. He went comedy. He set it in the 1920s, which is a different setting than others had done. And he added that romance element that gets everybody going.
Mhm.
And that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
ended up winning at the end.
Because also in the original, Anaxunamun was the pharaoh's daughter, not his mistress. So it's like a double romance addition to the film, which is nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's
And-
like gives parallels too. So
I have so many feelings about that tragic romance aspect of it, but I have one funny thing to say and then we can talk about it. Apparently, one of the big reasons that this movie was greenlit was because in 1998, Babe, Pig in the City was a huge bomb for Universal. It did like really, 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 really bad. And so the studio like really needed a hit. And so they're like, okay, like we're riding everything on the Mummy because Babe, Pig in the City did so poorly. And I just thought that was really
Wow.
lovely. Sorry, Babe, Pig in the City, but thank you. Your
The
failure.
Mummy did what Babe Pig in the City could not.
You really thought that
Babe Pig in
pig
the
could
City
hold the
walked
whole
alone,
thing on his
yes.
back. He just doesn't have that je ne
Poor
sais quoi
Babe.
that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz have together. I'm so sorry. The romance between Babe the pig and the city was not strong enough. But anyway, this is the beginning of this movie. You're talking about the romance between Imhotep and I can't say it without seeing
Anaxunamun.
Thank you.
You can't say it without singing?
Without seeing it. Sorry.
Oh.
I don't know how I would
concert.
Anaxunamun. I'm so sorry. I'm not the singer of the pod. We've had someone else decide that I'm not the singer of the pod. When the listeners speak, we listen. So I can take
It was
the
me.
L.
They decided, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, it was Chelsea.
And I'm so humble about it. So
Yeah, she took it super well and did not rub it in our faces at all. So
That sounds like her.
cool. But I think this was probably the most epic opening I've seen in a long time. And we just watched Santa Jaws, so that's saying something. Like the world building, like I learned everything about Egypt. All of it's fake, by the way. So quickly.
What? It's fake?
Yes.
Can you believe it? Can you believe they didn't do their research on making everything historically accurate? Crazy.
I know. It's
Wow.
insane. The pharaoh, that pharaoh lived 1,300 years or something after Imhotep, and Imhotep wasn't a priest. He was a builder.
Oh, he was an architect. Yeah.
An architect. Thank you.
Somebody was talking about this on IMDb trivia, where it was like Imhotep and the pharaoh Seti the first, like very different. And there's a third guy that they were talking about, but honestly, I'm no historian. It's really not my business.
Yeah, I know. This is a fantasy.
That's not for us to know.
Yeah, I mean, please feel free to do your own research because also IMDb trivia is not a history book. So I know for sure you can't trust everything on there because one thing on there said it took 4 hours to do Anaxunamun's body paint, and another thing on there said 14 hours. And I think probably 4 hours is more likely. But anybody can go on there and type whatever they want, and some people are going to take advantage of that. So just beware.
I found an article
though.
that was like a literal historical analysis of it. So I'm not going to read it, but I'll put it in the references.
If anybody does want it. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much world building in the beginning. They're giving you so much information. When I was watching with Ellen the other night, it was really all going over my head. She kept having to remind me of the basic facts, like, oh, it's 1926 now. It was 3 years before earlier. Like, oh, it's been 3,000 years. And then they said 3,000 years like a million times throughout the movie, and I was like, okay, got it.
I also think we have to acknowledge the score, especially in that opening scene. The score of this movie is so dramatic and so intense. And I also think very deeply tied to like my formative memories of watching this as a child. So I just have this
I
like
love that.
visceral emotional reaction when I hear that music. And it's like right there in the opening scene when you're zooming down on the pyramids. I mean, chef's kiss, really.
It's so gorgeous. Also, just to like be less eloquent than this lovely guest we have, I really personally liked that Emotet and Anaxunam, and I said it right, had a legion of men there to help them fuck, like to make sure that they could have a special place to fuck. All of those gold boys were like, we're gonna make sure it's chill and that Pharaoh doesn't come in, and we're gonna guard the door. And I thought that was super fun. They really thought it through.
I really did not appreciate that the first time around. It was only watching the second time around and only in the gold guys like second or third scene that I was like, oh, they work for Imhotep. Like he's the high priest, they're the lower priests. Like, got it. Because I thought they were there for the Pharaoh at first, and I couldn't understand why things were playing out the way that they did.
Personally, I think Anaxunamun is in a bad situation where she is having to wear this paint,
What?
you know?
That's
She's having to wear this paint. She can't even, what if she brushes against the door? She could have just brushed against the door. I feel like they could have like concocted some sort of lie before immediately stabbing the Pharaoh. But I did like that they're like, hey, baby, we can't fuck, but you want to just kill together? How about we do that? And that'll be our new thing that we do.
Well, here's my theory. I think that they were always planning to kill the Pharaoh because they were there ready, waiting. And I think that's why they allowed themselves to get like a little careless in that kiss scene. Because you can see at first the way they're kind of like air touching each other, as though that's like their usual manner of greeting or whatever. They're like sort of stroking the air around each other's faces, and then his arm lands on her shoulder. So you do see, I think it's like a genuine moment of panic when he's like, who touched you? But they're so immediately ready to do stabbing that I have to think that that was in the cards for them always on that day.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's really coming into her power in that moment when she gets to kill the Pharaoh who has been using her for Lord knows how long. And she gets to do it with her man by her side. And there's just like, you know, it's a really great moment for her.
They
What's
have
her
this
line
like
that she
joy in
says?
their eyes. I am not
She
your
says,
woman anymore, or something like that.
My body is no longer his temple.
Incredible.
That's way better.
I
Way
mean,
better.
it's
I was
perfect.
like, writing. This is incredible. I was like, can we just still make that the opening quote, even though it's in Egyptian, and so no one will know what it actually is? I think the vibes are there.
Yeah.
I would have fought for her a little bit more instead of leaving her to die immediately. I love that they are so committed to their religion that they're like, oh, don't worry, you can just like reincarnate me like 5 minutes from now. I'll die. They're like so committed. I love that. Faith, baby.
Death is only the beginning.
Yeah.
So true.
Like, why was Imhotep even left alive though at all? Is my question, I guess. The movie doesn't really need to answer it because
they assume he's gonna die, that the little buggies are gonna eat him till he's dead.
Well,
but that's after he tries to resurrect her.
True, but it's just because he escapes, right?
Yeah, he escapes, and she stays there as a diversion kind of thing.
Well, I think she's dead at that point because she killed herself with the sword.
Well, that's
and then
when
he
the
takes
guys
her body.
come. Well, they're probably like, "Oh shit, she just killed herself. We got to figure something out." And then they're like, "Oh no."
They got so distracted.
By the fact that
they're just like, put him in jail. We've got so many dead bodies here. Yeah.
Totally.
A lot of cleanup to do.
Her body paint was so messed up at that point that they all really just had to take a pause and like
they were just like, we just spent so many hours putting this on here. Yeah.
14.
You're like,
14.
oh my god, she's messing it. She's messing it up with all that blood. What the fuck?
Sad.
Exactly.
I will say, why do they have a punishment curse that makes you, if you're resurrected, all powerful and invulnerable, and all the plagues come back. I don't really think they thought it through. Like, maybe they're so sure they're gonna have him trapped in there forever, but they straight up are like, we've never done this thing. I can't remember what it's called. We've never done this
The
horrible
Hamdai.
the
The
Hamdai before, because it's so crazy. But now we're setting ourselves up for a super villain at some point in the unknown future. I don't know.
IMDb trivia was a little illuminating on this subject. Not super illuminating, but a little illuminating on this subject for me. I know there's a novelization of this book too that also does like a lot more backstory and stuff for all of the characters. So maybe that has more as well. But while it seems like his punishment is just to die a horrible death, it's actually in theory that he like never dies and is just an eternal torture. Because
Okay.
as the high priest, he is sacred, the scarabs are sacred, so the scarabs are eating him, and he's sacred, which means they're cursed to live forever, but he has to eat the scarabs because he needs to eat. And so then he's also cursed with it. So it's an eternity of them chomping each other, which is a pretty
The
good
eternal
curse
chomp.
to put on somebody. Yeah. The
That-
eternal chomp. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I mean, that's like pretty fucked up. But also fair. They want him to be tortured for the rest of eternity because of his transgressions. But then there's still that thing though, where if
Yeah.
they let him out, it's the 7 plagues of Egypt come out and he's invulnerable. Literally invulnerable.
I would argue, though, they have a whole defense force who's dedicated to the cause of protecting the city. It's worked for 3,000 years. That's not a bad record.
And that's like tomorrow's
guess you'll
problem.
leave
None
me-
of those guys were still
Yeah.
alive when that happened.
They're like, yeah,
They
I
didn't
don't
have to deal with
care.
it. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, fine. That's fine. The thing is, this watch, I was not thinking I was gonna be like a little on Emotet's side. But I was just like, I just wish that they could have a little moment together, you know?
A little
But they are,
kissy kiss.
Yeah. I mean, he loves her so much. He's such a simp for her that he literally comes back and terrorizes the entire world. Like, there's
He
nothing more
shakes
romantic
his-
than that.
Okay,
he
but
shakes
Shakes
his
his
body
body
twice a
twice
day
a day.
for her.
if he wanted to, he would. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, no spoilers for the sequel, but I do think that they do a little work to undercut some of this stuff, which is a bummer because I think that they should let it be what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
We love a
all he wants
complicated
to
villain,
do-
okay?
yeah, all he wants to do is be in love.
Yeah.
And the woman that he loves is not in control of her own body, can't be touched by anybody. It sounds sad and lonely. He's a hero, actually.
Mhm.
Maybe.
There's a read for that.
That's what the actor was doing, though. Apparently, he was like, "I want to play it straight. Like, I just want to like play it about this lady." He was all in the romance on it.
Yeah, and he's really good at opening his mouth real big. So he had it all going on. He
Oh, yeah.
said he apparently got the role after like the first audition. So that makes sense. They're like, imagine this guy completely shaved. It's done. I'm not going to move past that. Anyway, we can't move on to the rest of the movie though. I just want to give a little shine that visual effect because the CGI in this is something else. But that visual effect where they have like, oh, what is it? Oh, the dog guy statue. What's his name? Not Horus. That's the eagle guy. Anubis.
No.
Anubis.
Oh.
Anubis. I got there. Anyway, Anubis. They show Anubis in his prime, the statue, and then like it withers away to show that 3,000 years have passed. Gorgeous.
So I have
Incredible.
Chelsea watched this on Hulu, but I watched it on my collector's edition DVD. And there are
She's
some,
a collector, baby.
there are
Funny.
some special features on the DVD, and one of them is about the CGI, the special effects. And there
Please.
were some golden nuggets in there. The best one was just Brendan Fraser like swinging a sword very dramatically around a room. They just show what it looks like when there are no CGI mummies there. And he's just like violently wailing away at the air. And then they show you how they layer in the mummies and everything. I mean,
That's cool.
So good. Yeah.
Apparently he choreographed that like really specifically so he could do it the same way every take.
Oh yes. Very intentional.
Incredible.
He's
man.
a professional, you know.
He's a professional. I personally think that it looks like they spent $15 million on it, and they did. It looks gorgeous for 1999. Compare this to is it House on the Haunting? House on Haunted Hill? What's the one?
House on Haunted Hill.
House on Haunted Hill. That looked like shit in comparison to this. This is world building. Come on, and it came out like the same year. No, amazing art, incredible.
Oh, sorry, not House on Haunted Hill.
The Haunting?
The Haunting.
The Haunting. So the House on Haunted Hill and the Haunt. Yeah. And Liam Neeson and Owen Wilson. But let's talk about Brendan Fraser.
Oh, yes, let's.
He is they said that he got the role because they saw him in George of the Jungle and he had like this slightly goofy energy to him that they wanted for it. Like they didn't want an adventurer who was taking himself so seriously. I think if that's what they were going for, nailed it.
Yeah,
agree.
He's giving indie. He's giving Indiana. He's got that vibe. As a big Indiana girl, immediately this was the movie for me. But I just also love that like George of the Jungle was such a hit. And I feel like they did a little like homage to George of the Jungle when he's in the prison and he has the long hair. And I'm like, it's George. Because that's what he looks like in that movie. And I just love looking at him. I just think he's perfect.
He's perfectly cast. And he, you know, you're right. Like he has that goofiness. And what I love so much about the romance in this movie is that the hero and the heroine both save each other at different points. And so he doesn't have that like hyper masculinity that prevents her from being like the lead sometimes and saving him. He's like just goofy and vulnerable enough that it's just like, oh, it's just perfect.
I totally
agree.
He
has great hair.
Oh yes, I mean
really
that goes without saying.
Really,
he's the
90s heartthrob hair.
Yeah,
exactly at the same time. Yeah, Adam has that haircut, and really great for me. Adam's my boyfriend, Ellen. You'll meet him.
Oh, I know.
Adam's actually the boyfriend of the pod.
He is
boyfriend
of the pod.
Our boyfriend.
Because you're on the pod, he's now your boyfriend too. So I hope it's okay.
Her husband was already really jealous about Brendan Fraser, so.
Well, tell him now you got a boyfriend too, so it's fine.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he is really wonderful here. And I think what is like great about the goofiness is that when he does have like a traditionally could have been played a different way moment, like that kiss and his first meeting with Evelyn, like that could have been a little yuck in different contexts and in different usage. But the way that they like revisit it later when they finally talk about it, and they would like have her sass him about it, which I like because it makes it less like this weird thing that happened to her. But they also have him be like, well, I was gonna die. What are you gonna do? Like he's not trying to be like, oh, oopsie, sorry. But also he's not trying to be like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. Like he's just being like, well, it was my last thing. So I was just trying to make it nice.
I think they did a really good job too of like starting it out kind of stereotypical and then like subverting it throughout the film. Like it starts out with Rick, I guess is his name.
Rick
I don't
O'Connell.
like to think
Rick
of him
O'Connell.
as Rick, but he's a Rick. Rick, he's being super macho, whatever. He's still being a little goofy, but he's like macho and in the war and blah 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 blah, and he's fearless and blah 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 blah. And then Evie, on the other hand, is like the classic like ditzy girl, like she knocks over all that shit. So funny. Oh my god, hilarious.
The domino setup of the oval room of bookshelves, wow,
beautiful in practice,
also,
very silly, or beautiful in theory, very silly in practice.
I don't think that's entirely her fault because I Googled, does Egypt have earthquakes? And they do. And they're usually not super big, but you would think that they would like try and secure their giant bookshelves of precious artifacts if they're in an earthquakey region.
Yeah, no. it's not on her, but she like you don't lean back on a ladder, honey. You don't do that. You will die in any
She's
context.
really confident that it would go right at the top of the tea bookshelf too. Like, what if it goes on the bottom shelf, girl? Did you look?
She knows what's it called? I can't remember what it's called.
She's
What's
the
it called?
only one who can catalog the library.
The Dewey Decimal System. She knows
Oh.
the Dewey Decimal System like no other. But yeah, they start off on these like, stereotypical sides of things, but then like throughout the movie, you see how like brave Evie is and how like adept she is actually at doing heroin shit, and then you see Brendan or Rick, God, I call him Rick, fine.
You
You
can call
see-
him Brendan Fraser. It's fine, I
And,
think.
well, I can't call Rachel Weisz Evie and then call Brendan Fraser. Oh my God, I almost said Brendan Weiss. Wow.
He
I
should
should
have
have
named
went.
it
He
beautiful.
would.
Taken her name.
Feminism.
Anyway, whatever. But like he gets like, softer, dopier. He shows his ineptitudes throughout and she saves his ass a bunch of times. I
The
just
gun shop hole.
Yeah, twice she saves him before they even get to Hamanoptera, from the hanging
Yeah.
and then the gun.
Yes. Oh my God. Also, like Brendan Fraser almost actually died during the hanging part. He lost consciousness because he couldn't like totally keep his
Baby,
feet on the ground. And so he was like low key actually suffocating. And
what was
he
their
blacked
plan
out.
with that? Why did they
They
film
just-
it
it
like
was
a
like
real
a-
hanging?
It was like a rigging error. Like it was supposed to
it
be
was the
just enough.
90s.
Yeah. I
I think
whole-
Brendan Fraser loved to do his own stunts, but I think he got hurt on like a lot of movies.
Well, yeah,
He
he hurt his
did.
back, and that was like that whole thing why he stopped acting for a while. But yeah, he also everybody in the movie almost died all the time because they were filming this in Marrakesh, and there were all these like bugs that kept biting people, and they had to go to the hospital, and snakes and stuff. And there was like this quote from Brendan where they're like, yeah, they said like, look out for that black snake with yellow dots, and if you see that shit, run. And he was peeing on a rock, and he looked down, and he saw that exact snake and had to book it. And they're all getting like a dehydration all the time. And also they were like really close to the border of another country. I can't remember the name of the country right now. Where there was like a lot of terrorist activity going on. And so they literally took out terrorism insurance policies on all the actors' lives and didn't tell them about it.
Oh my God.
It was like high
Super
stakes.
cash, great working conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, they made
What are
great
you gonna do?
sacrifice to create the most perfect film of all
I
time.
think we can say it was worth it. I think we can say
Worth
that.
Did they die? No. I mean,
Oh
I
my
don't think
God.
anybody died. Right?
No, just
No.
only just almost Brendan Fraser. Just that.
And he didn't, so it's fine.
And he didn't, and he
Ish.
is doing fine.
Although that peeing story is like such a Rick O'Connell move. Like, is he Rick? That is so
He
in
is.
character.
He wasn't acting; he was just being himself.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just want to say also that everybody should have 1920s Rachel Weisz hair. I think that
So fluffy. Is that
it's
all
so
her hair, do you
fluffy.
think?
no,
She's got so much, if
No.
so.
no, those
Okay.
curls though, they're so amazing. And I just like it's making me want I'm fine if the little eyebrows come back. That's fine with me. If
She
anyone
carries them
looks
so
Yeah.
well.
she
But
looks
like,
so great
imagine
with
if
them.
she had bigger eyebrows, how she would look in that costume.
Well, I know how she would look because I've seen other movies with Rachel Weisz in
Yeah.
them, but not with the fluffy hair. Oh, so beautiful. I saw a picture, like one of the like promo pictures of her from this movie today, and I gasped out loud because it was so beautiful.
She's stunning. And the wardrobe, I mean, she doesn't miss. Like the first outfit in the library with the long skirt and the little necktie. And then at the end in the black dress with the lace trim. I mean, she's killing it in every scene.
When they lose all their clothes after the boat fire and she has that like face covering
Veil.
veil
Oh,
thing.
yes, that's another thing I love is that both the hero and the heroine in this movie get their like wardrobe glow up moment. Like Rick has his at the boat when he walks up and she's like, oh my God, he's cute. And then she has hers in the black outfit, the camels.
Wow.
God, she was so hot.
Astute.
So
Yeah.
hot.
Do you know who else
Still
is hot
hot
that I
is
don't
the
think
thing.
we've mentioned yet is well, he has a name, but they never say it in the movie. But his name is Ardith Bay. And he is the guy who joins their crew at the end, who's one of the Magi, who
He's also
the
very sexy.
the descendants of the Pharaoh's guards who protect Hamunaptra.
Face
Yeah, I didn't-
tattoos. They really
I
work
didn't
for him.
mention him earlier because he's been someone who's on my top hottie list since the first time I
Always,
watched
yeah.
this. He looks like George Harrison, and I have a huge thing for George Harrison, but they look so much alike. Oh, plus face tattoos, which is that adds a whole nother layer for me.
Everybody
he has
loves
one
a
moment
face
where he,
tattoo.
like, yeah, he looks really good with them. But he has that one moment where he pulls like his little cap off and reveals like his luscious side part and his locks, and like it's from a distance, but you can tell his hair is great.
Great hair.
But
And
yeah,
they were gonna
he's-
kill him off in this movie, but they're like, he's so sexy and so fun. We
How
can't
could
kill
we?
him. And so they kept him for the sequel.
That's like not even a joke though. Like IMDb trivia used the word heroic, but let's not pretend it's not because he was so sexy.
He was so sexy.
And
He
he's
almost laid his
needed.
life down for the hottest couple of all time. So, you know.
Well, what's interesting is I was doing a little shipping while I was watching this movie the first time around, and I developed a couple ships, and I did a little research on Archive of Our Own to see if other people had picked up what I was picking up, and people hadn't really, but there was some stuff there that I hadn't picked up on. And so on my second watch, I was looking for moments. But personally, my ships, obviously Rick and Evie are a power couple, but there are some OT3 vibes there with Ardith Bay. And I love that. And there's support for that on Archive of Our Own. But the couple that I really was shipping that you let me know if you see the vision. But Benny and Jonathan.
Okay,
The
Jonathan's
brother-
Jonathan
canonically
is
gay.
a gay icon.
He's gay.
Kissing.
There's a point where Brendan or Rick, god damn it, Rick says like, oh, 14-1, I don't like our odds, and Jonathan's like, I've had worse, and I was like, he's talking about a gay gangbang. Like it was just like so clear to me that I'm sorry, he said it in a way where I was just like, he's gay and he's had sex with multiple people at the same time. That's what I learned from that moment.
And he survived the orgy.
I go check Archive of Your Own for that.
People ship him and Ardith though, which is interesting because I did see a couple moments for that at the end. Like when they're saying their goodbye to Ardith at the end, there is like a little flirty something between them, I think.
Cute.
And I'm supportive of that. But also, you know, I love an OT3, and I just think Benny and Jonathan have like one or two moments where they're just both so scrappy and a little pathetic, desperate, survival instincts are top fucking notch. Like the skill set is not always there to support the traditional heroic route, but almost every time these two are gonna come out, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna make it to the end almost every time. They just have a little cockroach love story, if you ask me.
A little cockroach love story. Oh my god.
I think.
They're very
I love
similar.
it.
They're kindred
I love-
spirits, I think.
Yeah, they're little
And I
what
get-
is it called? Glommers on. They're kind of just like
Mhm.
riding
They're
on the
little barnacles.
coattails. Yeah, exactly. Barnacles. I have a whole
Benny also
theory.
has strong bisexual vibes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel that. It's the eyeliner. I have like a big theory about Benny, and I'm just fact checking something really quickly to make sure that I'm not just actually right. So just give me 1
Okay.
second.
Yeah, take your time.
But my theory is that Benny is to emotet as Bartok is to Rasputin.
That's so funny because literally in my notes, I was like, why does he talk like Bartok?
He is Bartok. He literally
He
is
is
Bartok.
Yes, that is
Oh
very
my
Just
astute.
to make sure it wasn't Hank Azaria or whatever that guy's name is. But
Straight up just going to check and make sure that he wasn't the voice actor because their voices just do sound similar, but they're not. That would be too on the nose, but it's the exact same thing. It's like
Mhm.
he Bartok is the henchman for an undead wizard man, it's like the same fucking shit as Imhotep. And he isn't super down with the vision, but he's along for the ride and he's just trying to make it out alive. Also I feel like there's a whole allegory to Anastasia 100% here. I kind of think that Brendan Fraser looks like the Anastasia love
Dimitri.
interest guy.
Mhm.
Dimitri, thank you so much. And there's vibes. There's vibes.
They have the same
Just
hair too.
That's
Same hair.
90s heartthrob.
90s heartthrob
90s
hair.
heartthrob. We should do that on the pod. There's horror elements, okay?
I mean, talk about a monster movie. Yeah, I mean, I do think he is literally exactly Bartok, but I do want to give Benny some props also though, because I will say, when they were at Hamunaptra and he was with the Americans and the Egyptologist, he was the only one with the brains to run out of the fucking room when they were like, let's open this chest that we literally just read the inscription on that says anybody who opens this chest gonna die.
True, but he was like, I'm outie, not like you guys need to stop. As your guide, I'm telling you that this is wrong, And he also was like, let me green light all of these unnamed men we have with us to burn an acid.
The diggers
Benny's in it for himself. I think we know
yeah,
that.
I mean-
It's clear.
Benny was literally happy to leave everybody to die in the desert if he'd been paid up front instead of only half and then half later.
100%. Yeah, I
I
mean, he
respect
says that.
He's like, if you guys want to open this death chest and then die, that's fine, but I refuse to be part of it because I have survival instincts. And don't they serve him well every moment of the day? When that mummy comes back to life, although technically somebody was pointing out on IMDb trivia or somewhere maybe, Imhotep is not a mummy. He's specifically not a mummy and was not mummified. It's all of the other priests that were mummified. He gets eaten by scarabs and eats scarabs forever instead. But
Important distinction.
An important distinction.
Really.
But I love when Imhotep comes back, but he's still all juicy, as they call him. And he has he's taken that one guy's eyes and tongue already, which, as I told Ellen the other day, great priorities. Great priorities. He's like, I need to see and I need to be able to communicate.
I need to see and I need to be able to talk shit. That's what.
I
That's
feel
what
bad
it
for
is.
that sweet man with the glasses who
The
just gets
sweet man who's
shafted.
grave robbing Ellen.
They're all grave robbing, Chelsea.
Come
All of them.
on. We're on the moral high ground now. He is very hot and
Yes.
beautiful. And
He's a top tier hottie.
He's giving beefed up oh shit, I can't remember anyone's name. Journey to Atlantis. Boy.
Dwayne the
It's
Rock
just 'cause he has-
Johnson. Milo.
Milo Thatch
Dwayne the Rock
from the
Johnson.
cartoon.
Yeah,
Isn't
Milo
he-
Thatch.
I was
Milo,
thinking
yeah.
of
He
that
looks
one.
like beefed
something-
up Milo Thatch. That's who he looks
Milo
like.
Thatch was my very
Mhm.
first crush.
Milo
Ever
Thatch
in my
is
whole life.
So when I always say I like men who are skinny with fluffy brown hair and wear like glasses, it's him.
And one skinny little ribbed white tank top.
Yep,
Yep.
it's him.
He's the template.
He's the
Yep.
I
blueprint.
love boys with that haircut and glasses, and I'm dating one, so it's working out well.
90s.
Congratulations to you.
Thank
The
you so
90s
much.
animated
That's why
films
I
are so
picked it.
relevant this episode.
I know. Well, this is a '90s movie, so
Because I also in my brain I'm thinking about Tarzan, because of their
Why
little
not?
their outfits when they're getting on the boat in the beginning are so Jane and Tarzan and her dad.
They are.
oh, don't talk to me about Tarzan. I've got a lot of feelings
It's
about
too
Tarzan.
sad. But yeah, something.
Hamunaptra. I said it
Oh
wrong.
yeah, when he comes back. Oh, I have another question actually, but let me finish my first thought before I introduce an additional thought. when the juicy Imhotep comes back and Benny starts whipping out all of his necklaces and is like, I've got a billion of these. I'm gonna try everyone. Hopefully something's gonna come through. I'm hedging my bets. And then it does work because he pulls out his Star of David and starts speaking Hebrew. And Imhotep goes, oh, I know that language. Oh my God, finally someone I can talk shit to with my new tongue. Anyway, my other thought
That shit was fucked up though. What he actually says, which I'm not gonna say.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, that's history, baby.
Bad, but history.
My other thing is he took that sweet man, his eyes.
Mr. Burns.
Does Imhotep have bad vision now? Because that guy wore glasses.
That's a great question.
He magic.
Is he nearsighted? Yeah, that guy, those glasses were gone and he immediately was like, I can't see anything. But like Imhotep, very competent. He does have magic powers, so I'm thinking maybe he can push through.
Literally goes, my glasses.
Which is so relatable.
No, that's from Velma.
You know what,
He's
though?
pulling a Velma.
Another animated property.
When Imhotep was alive in his first life, they didn't have glasses. So everyone was walking around with bad eyesight. So maybe they were just better adapted. He's like, this is fine. This seems normal to me.
He's like, honestly, this is what I was working with before. Maybe even improved.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe that guy had, okay, here's my thing as somebody who has very, very bad eyesight. A lot of people who have a way lower prescription than I do are like, oh my God, my eyesight is so bad. And like, I'm sure that feels true to that person. And I'm sure there are people who have worse eyesight than I do who think that I'm being a baby. Yeah. But like when people are like, oh, I can't read this, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay, well, that was my third grade prescription, actually. So maybe the guy being like, my glasses is also just like a little being a drama queen about it.
The 1920s bitch about it, you know?
So he probably has like a lot of adrenaline going in that moment. He's really scared. Like maybe his vision's just hazing out a little bit.
It's just the panic that overwhelmed him. His blood pressure shot up and it made things go a little hazy.
There's a lot going on.
Sure.
Poor guy. And the fact that he has to live for another couple minutes in the movie, you know, without his eyes and his tongue, and then
he lives even longer.
I mean, just like movie minutes, but like days in the reality of the film. Poor guy.
And just gets sucked dry.
And then he gets tricked. Yeah, tricked into meeting with the exact same guy. Like, first of all, the greed inherent in going on this trek to Hamunaptra shirt, but then opening the chest that says anybody who opens this chest gonna die, and then taking the little relics, and then getting your eyes and your tongue plucked out by a juicy, regenerated, long dead high priest, and then being like, but even though I narrowly escaped with my life, I do still need to profit. So I am gonna take this meeting with this prince. I just think like bad decisions were being made left and right here.
Counterpoint, what else does he have left in that moment, Chelsea? Like, why not take the meeting?
Have you ever had no eyes and no tongue?
I feel that there is life worth living, but like, you know, maybe he thought with all of the riches that Prince could give him, he could buy new eyes. I don't know.
He's turned to mysticism, and haven't we all in times of need? Come on.
Yeah. I did love when they get their flesh sucked out of them so that the pharaoh can regenerate himself. I loved the way that they did all of those visuals.
I just think that the horror elements in this movie, though they are vaguely few and far between, because they were trying to make this not a horror movie, they're fucking really scary. They hit you where you live, okay? 1, tombs in general, terrifying. 2, bugs. The idea of the scarab, oh my God.
Oof.
Oh my God. The scene with what's his fucking name? The warden.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about
He doesn't get
yet.
named. He doesn't get named.
Well, his name is Warden God Hassan, apparently, according to IMDb, but no one ever says that.
And he goes in the worst possible way. That poor man. Oh my God.
Oh my God. any movie with bugs that go under your skin, and there are
Ugh.
why are there so many? Wrong, bad, horrible. It's so big too.
And the way you see it crawling around, like on his chest and stuff. Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
fact
Does
that
it like
it-
go eat their brain? Is that what it does?
Yeah, it
I assume.
burrows
Burrows.
burrows right through his shoe and then into his foot under his skin and all the way up is just disgusting.
Disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I really didn't like it and I never have. But apparently, I don't know if this is true because this is to me a juicy little piece of goss. So I'll put an allegedly here, but IMDb trivia, multiple entries on there say that actor was for some reason going commando in that costume during that scene, and his junk kept being exposed when he's like, oh, my pants, and like pulling out his clothes.
Why?
That makes the whole scene so much better. I'm gonna think about that every time I watch it
left
now.
his dick in, maybe.
Right
Did
out
they
of
even
frame, his
consider it?
dick's out. Oh,
I
and
think it
there,
was fun.
imagine dying like that and your dick's out. Oh God.
That's what the actor clearly wanted. If his dick kept popping out take after take.
It's an artistic choice, Chelsea, and I wish you would respect it as an actor.
On that same note, apparently when Imhotep is in the desert and filming the scene where he like kicks up the windstorm, the sandstorm or whatever.
Shaped like his face.
What?
Shaped
maybe.
like his face.
I don't remember
Yeah.
which one that they were talking
They
about.
all are kind of shaped like his face, but continue.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure exactly which moment that they were talking about, but I guess there's some scene of him like raising the sand, and you know, he doesn't wear much. He wears a loincloth, and they had some wind effect or whatever, and they had to pan up really fast because his butt kept
They should have kept it in. If
exposed from
only
his
this
loincloth.
was an R-rated movie, we could have had more
Yes,
horror
dude,
and
I
the
need
butt.
more ass.
I need Imhotep's ass. It was a real big missed opportunity. They should have just forgot about making up for the losses from Babe Pig in the City and just made it an R-rated movie so we personally could have what we wanted.
Give the people us what they want.
Yes, please. Come on. One thing that I totally forgot about but felt very strongly about while watching this film, if I could have a power, there are ones I choose before this, but one I would consider is the ability to turn into a dramatic, like sad face sandstorm whenever provoked and spin out of the room. That was such an excitingly dramatic exit, entrance, whatever you want it to be. I loved it so much. I wish that like you say something like Chelsea says, I'm the singer of the pod, and I go and I spin into this my face like oh my God. It'd be really good. As an Aries and Aries sun and a Cancer moon, I feel like it has the anger of an Aries and the impulsiveness, but it has the drama and the sadness of a Cancer moon, and I felt seen. I really like Imhotep. Anyway, would never shave twice a day though.
The plagues were cool.
The plagues were cool.
The fire thing I don't think was in the original Bible, but I liked it.
The fire rain.
Yeah. I Googled what were the 10 plagues, and that was not listed, but there's so many different versions of the Bible, you know, so.
I'm glad they didn't do the dead baby plague in this movie.
Yeah.
That would have. That's the worst one.
Trump had talked about
That is
that. Yeah. They were like, apparently that one's still pretty controversial, even with some Christian churches. So maybe they just wanted it to be a family-friendly movie.
One.
Otherwise, Jonathan would have dropped dead. So, can you
Also-
imagine? It's kind of a little funny, but sad.
Very sad. There's not enough sheep's blood in the film to keep them all safe. I also thought it was fun. I didn't notice the one where there was hail, but there's a hail one And
Yeah.
they used dog kibble. I don't know. They did.
That's
don't
the
know.
same thing as the fire, or the same scene as the fire one, apparently. But I
Oh.
think the fire really overshadows the hail.
And it makes you forget it's dog kibble for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Oh my
But yeah,
God.
they got creative. Obviously the scarabs were CGI, but like some of the locust scenes and stuff, they used real
Buggos?
grasshoppers at points that had been
Bug actors.
frozen. I don't know is quite the word, but they wanted them sluggish enough to be caught on camera. So they
That feels
I think,
wrong.
brought their core body temperature down.
No one's
look, I'm no
talking about bug
expert.
abuse. No one's talking about bug abuse on movie sets. No one's talking
Sad.
about that.
Who will be the
Wrong.
bugs rights
Wrong.
activist?
I will step up.
But yeah, I mean, the rat that crawled across Rachel Weisz when she's literally chained to the altar, that's a real rat, I think.
Rat actor.
Rat actor.
I she's too brave. I would never give myself over to emo. Okay, maybe I would. I just said I really like him. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard to be consistent.
Let's talk
but-
about that scene when she gives herself over to him and the
Yeah.
yearning between her and Rick in that moment where they haven't admitted yet that they love each other. But he's watching her go and they zoom in on the eye contact that's happening between the two of them. And he shouts out her name. I mean, it's just like, that is cinema. That is film. You know, that's
That is
storytelling, maybe.
cinema.
I want
But
do you know
somebody
who
to look at
comforts
me
him?
like that.
You know who comforts him and protects him in that moment?
Who?
Artist.
Is it Jonathan? Oh,
I was tracking in my notes whenever there was OT3 content. I took a little note down.
Wow. I love it. I love it. It's happened way earlier in the movie, but the part where Brendan Fraser gets all dopey because he realizes that he's in love with Evie and he gives her the little gift and he's like, "Oh, I got this for you. I don't know. It's the best thing I've ever seen. It's the best thing I've ever seen."
I know, he's such a little dope for her. It's incredible. He's
There's
like, I don't even know what these
so
are,
many
but
sips I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. I just found it on the ground and can you just hold it? But it's also a gift for you.
And I love that she is the one that using those same skills like saves the day because she's the only one that can read the big tablet or whatever and figures out where the shit's actually buried. Like they've just done such a good job of subverting all of the like damsel in distress tropes, although she does have a very large damsel in distress moment at the end where she is like literally tied to an altar. But
And she did also awaken the beast in the first place, but it's fine. We forget about that.
That's
We
true.
move on.
that's
And
true.
she says the worst line at that point. Although I've actually given it a different context in my head. She says like, when's a book ever done anything powerful? Or that's not exactly what she says, but that's the takeaway. That reading has no power when she's literally a librarian. But I choose to believe that actually those are harmful words that have been said to her that she's repurposing for her own intentions in this moment because she wants to read the book.
Redemption, okay.
So
Yeah, she's reclaiming them. Good for her and good for her.
yeah, she's like, oh, you probably believe this, and this is what everyone always tells me. So I'm going to use this for my advantages for once.
This movie is just another movie and another lesson that I've learned in the past year. They should never read anything out loud. Just read it in your head first and then decide if you're going to read it out loud. If you read it out loud, bad shit's going to go down. You never know what could happen.
But like, they should know better than to read ancient Egyptian. I was
I
trying
think
to
you should call it
Ajiji?
ancient Ajiji. I like that better.
Ajiji?
That's the abbrev for Egyptian. It's Ajiji.
Ajiji.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's like the Egyptologist who is what the Americans also should have been a little more wary, he really feels like he should be the expert because she does tell us several times earlier in the film like, oh, I don't believe in all that. Although I do love that her boss is like, that stuff is silly, and then she reuses his exact same language later in the film when he's the one who like burned the map on purpose to try and hide the location from them, which is sneaky. He did a good job being sneaky and playing it off.
He
Yeah,
can't just
being
go
like,
around being
whatever.
like, he can't just go around being like, magic is real, but also don't go seek it out. You know, he has to be like, no, magic is not real. What are you talking about? Crazy? He has to gaslight everyone. That's part of being in the
Their secret
Magi?
society.
Did I say it right?
Yeah,
I just say
the
it
way that it
quiet.
was written in the subtitles is not what was written on IMDb trivia. And then I did some Googling, and the Magi maybe.
Magi is what they say in the movie.
Yeah,
Got that
that was
I
like a
sound.
real ethnic group originally, and then that word kind of became used to refer to like the police force in general, not just like the ethnic group of people. So I think it's not clear exactly what we're dealing with here, but the subtitles on Hulu said magi, like magi, like a magic person. So that's
They
a little
are
confusing
magic.
to me.
I feel magic when I look at
Ardith Bay.
Ardeth. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean he's a good looking guy. But yeah, I agree. I think that they did a good job of like balancing everybody's skills. Jonathan apparently is the one who brings all of the dead priests to life, maybe, or something.
they're like those are soldiers. I think.
Okay.
I think
That's
those
what
were
IMDb trivia said, and I kept being like, when did he do that? Because I
Those
guess
are
I
the
missed
Pharaoh's
times.
sacred bodyguards.
yeah, so those are
Right?
that's what I thought that's what I thought. Because it was the good book that brought them to light, the golden book. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, so he reads from that and awakens them. But because Imhotep is so powerful, he immediately has control over them because he's controlling the dead
Oh.
spirits. But then Evie's like, no, keep reading because she knows all about this book. Keep reading, and then you will have the power over them. And so then he does. He figures it out after almost getting everyone killed. Is that when Evie's having that cool fight with
Sing
Mummy? I can't remember it now.
Anaxunamen.
Anaxunamen. I almost said Hamanoptera. I'm so sorry. I've lost the thread.
But yeah, they have a great fight.
Mhm.
It's real. They're really fighting. No, it's actually them. It's not stunt women or stunt people. They're actually fucking fighting each other to the death. Who made it out
That
alive?
was not even in the script. They just started going fucking balls to the walls crazy,
hated
wailing
each
on
other.
each other. Yeah.
They were super
It's actually
pissed.
just an on-set cat fight.
Spat. Yeah, it was a spat.
You know how ladies are. You can't have two women in a film without them fighting each other.
God.
Valid. Imagine 3 on a podcast.
I know.
I mean, we're duking it out every fucking episode.
Seriously.
But yeah, I loved at the end too, how the solution was not that the Book of Amun-Ra killed him, but it made him mortal. I thought that was like a very fun little twist.
That was
Agreed.
so good. And he was so shocked because he didn't know. He was like, what do you mean you just stabbed me in my tum-tum? My freshly shaved tum-tum with a big old sword.
But it's poetic. I mean, that's how Anaxunamen died the first time around. So
Yep.
Oh, God. Oh, someone take the beginning scene and turn it into a whole film and I will watch it. And I will love it.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
want their love story, like their original love story before all this shit, before they became the villains. They deserve it, I think.
Yeah, all of their like longing glasses with that exciting eyeliner that they're wearing
Yeah.
could be nice.
Sneaking
Anyway.
around behind the Pharaoh's back. Do you know
I
what?
want like the tender scene of Imhotep like carefully repainting her body paint after they've like had
After they
sex in
smash?
some
Hot.
secret room. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
come on.
Ellen,
Love
I
that.
need
Chelsea,
to read
you should
your
write
book.
that
You have
fic.
a beautiful mind.
I mean, I think it sounds great, but I'm gonna devote my energies to Benny and Jonathan over here. I think probably, but
I wouldn't
maybe it's
expect
for
that
you,
from you,
Ellen.
yeah. I mean, maybe
Next
that's my
on
next
the project
project.
for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think that this movie is obviously so fun. They are clearly just like having a blast making it and doing all kinds of stuff. I am sad that Benny does not make it out because he got so close. He like almost makes it under the closing door. The things are like coming down around him. He rolls onto the steps so he doesn't get crushed. Like every opportunity, Benny almost comes out winning, and then the scarabs get him in the end. My guy.
This is just like when we watched The Visit and you liked the rapping. Like, I can't believe that you like Benny so much. He's such a little worm weasel.
That's why I like him.
That's honestly Chelsea's type. I don't know why you are so shocked by this, Monica.
I guess I'm just trying to like reject that fact. My brain won't wrap around it. He looked cute with his eyeliner, but also when he got eaten alive, I was like, get it.
No.
Get
He
it,
just
Scarab.
Benny.
Look, he just is living his life, hanging out
a
with a lot of hot
backstabby bitch.
dudes. You can't tell me. Well, I'll save it for segments later, actually. But I think he's an icon, and I love him, and he's my little baby.
I know that we always say be gay, do crime, but just because he do be gay doesn't mean he's allowed to do crime and get away with it. The crimes are against our beautiful, beautiful Rick and Evie. How dare you? And artists.
They
as
did
well.
crimes first. They're all doing crimes.
Fine. Well, everybody's killed someone in this movie, so I guess we're on an equal playing field.
The only ones that you could say are totally morally, well, innocent is not the word, but they discuss the moral implications with Ardith and what's his name? His name can't also
Terrence
be
Bay.
Bay.
Dr.
Are they
Terrence Bay.
related?
No, okay. Ardith Bay, Bay, and Terrence Bay, Bey. Don't know. I'm looking at
Okay.
IMDb right now. Don't know.
Interesting
Seems
choice.
like an oversight. Seems like an oversight to me.
It is an interesting choice because in the 1932 Mummy, Imhotep's like alter ego that he was going by when he was pretending to be a human, and again, haven't seen the movie, so don't really know the context, but he went by the name Ardith Bay with the E in Ardith and A in Bay swapped, and so like they maybe changed it to make it a little different for a new character, but keep it as an homage. But then why also name that other guy? But
Steven was doing whatever he wanted, you know? He was
so
just
true.
like, let's just confuse him because no one's gonna look at the IMDb for this long and look at all the names. Well,
They
welcome to
literally don't
Spooky
even name
Tuesday.
him other than in the credits of the film. But so he was given a name in the script, whatever.
Well,
Anyway,
he is also in the second movie, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he is named in the second movie. So they just had to set it up, you know.
sure.
I'll let it lie.
Yeah, but they do have that whole conversation where Evie's like, "You're killing innocent people," and they're like, "Yeah, but to save the lives of literally everybody else on Earth. So what are you gonna do?" I think that's kind of fair.
I think it's fair. What if they
Classic
hadn't
trolley
stopped
problem.
Emotep? Classic. Oh my god.
Classic. Yeah. Anyway, is there anything else we need to discuss before segments?
Nothing about the movie, but one thing that I would just like to, bring up. Can we talk about like Europeans mummy mania that they had back in the good old day? Do y'all know about this? They would eat mummies. They would use like ground up mummy like parts as part of paint pigments. It was
Ew.
medicine.
Why they
There's
have all
something about
these
them using
mummies?
mummies
They
as
would
like
have-
firewood.
They would have mummy unwrapping parties back in the day. Like
Unwrapping parties. That's weird.
the Victorians.
How many
would
mummies
sit
were
there.
like around?
A
Like,
lot.
where were they
There were
finding them?
So in Egypt, like everybody got mummified. Like that's how you like when you died, you got mummified. It was just the pharaohs and stuff that got the big ornate
Tombs.
and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And so everybody in Egypt was getting mummified. And so they were like
Lots of
digging
mummies
up
to go around. Whole
all
country
of
population,
these-
I guess.
yeah, for like centuries.
But
Like, it
this was
started-
happening in Europe, so they were going to Egypt and just like grabbing a mummy and
Yes.
bringing it home.
And the Ottoman Empire made it illegal because they had their hands in Egypt. And then there became the mummy black market, and which became so like profitable.
I've never heard anything about this in my life. My
They would
jaw's
eat
been on the
the
floor this
mummies.
entire time.
This was
That's
one
what
of
she
my
left with.
this was one of my like weird childhood like special
You had an
interests.
ancient Egypt phase.
No, it wasn't even that. It
Oh
was
no,
the
no,
fact
you
that
had an
European
Egyptian exploration phase.
it was the
No,
fact
she
that
had mommy
Yeah.
eating.
yeah, the fact that Europeans just like to eat mummies. I used to love that was my like fun party fact to come up to when I was like 11 and like meet people to be like, did you know people used to eat mummies?
Disgusting.
Wow. I love it. I honestly love learning about this. I'm reading the book for Bones and All right now, so I'm very interested in cannibalism in all of
cannibalism?
its form. uh, I didn't ever have an Egyptian mummy phase, but like I really like I'm obsessed with bog mummies. I'm obsessed with bog
I want to be
mummies.
a bog bitch when I die. Like throw me in the bog.
As
The
someone
scientific
who's
name, bog
fallen,
bitch, yeah.
no, yeah. I currently am a bog bitch, and that's just because I fell in a bog one time when I was in Scotland, and my whole ass got soaked. And so you can do that now, Sydney, and become a bog bitch in life, and then I'll make sure that you're thrown in the deepest bog in Scotland when the time comes. But
Perfect.
yeah, there's something about the like not chemicals, but like the way the bog is, and like
The
your
salinity
body
of it.
goes in there, it like turns you into a beautiful beef jerky version of yourself. Like you look like a person still, your hair stays on, and you're just a little leather guy or big leather guy or girl or whatever. You're just completely preserved. And I thought that they were all like Scottish people or Irish people. A lot of people in that area have red hair. And I was like, oh my God, all these redheaded people have been turned into bog mummies. But no, it's something about the like about the water that turns the hair red. So it's not just only ginger people are bog mummies, just to be clear. That's what I thought for a really long time. But I saw a bog mummy in real life and it was really cool. Anyway, we can talk about the movie again.
No, I want to keep talking about different kinds of mummies.
Those are like the only two I know about. I need to know about more kinds. Oh, well, I know that there are some other types of mummies, but I don't know anything about them because there is a third mummy movie, and I think it takes place in China or somewhere in East Asia. Yeah, I have no idea where exactly because I've never seen that movie because it came out in 2008.
And it doesn't have Rachel Weisz.
Doesn't have Rachel Weisz.
No, I know. And the second one's so good too. And then they waited 7 years and they cut my girl, and like it was at a weird time in Brendan's career, so it did not go well. Oh, okay, wait. I'm just gonna talk about all iterations of the mummy now. Here we go. You got me started. You can't stop me now.
I was just talking about the DCU again.
Did you know that for this movie, the 1999 The Mummy, they offered the role to Tom Cruise and he said no? And then that fucking bitch dragged his little baby corpse back to the Universal and was like, Mummy guy in 2017 or whenever that shit came out. It's not like that. They probably offered it to him again, but he came back and he was the mummy guy for the bad one that came out recently. And it was such a fucking trash fire that people like to they scrapped the entire Dark Universe. They scrapped the entire Dark Universe because it was so bad. I wouldn't say that it's Tom Cruise's fault that it was so bad. It was the writing and Russell Crowe that made it so bad, but I think honestly, Ellen, I think you should watch it if you haven't, just so you can see. It just gives you perspective on the franchise.
Some context for my mummy knowledge.
Yeah.
It's
I think probably it must have flopped though
egregious.
because they didn't sacrifice a pig in the city the year beforehand.
No, it's so true. You're so right. But it's also because they tried to create a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen type film where they brought in every single monster guy. And like they had Jekyll and Hyde, and everyone was like, what? Like, you didn't market this as a thing where that's going to happen. We thought we were just getting a really sexy mummy because the mummy girl's really hot in that movie. I will give
She was really
that.
hot.
Yeah.
And that's when it ends. That's where the good things end. It ends there. And then you have
one
Russell
sexy
Crowe.
lady, not enough to carry the film.
It was like agonizing to watch, but I just thought it was so funny that he like was like, no, I'm too good for 1999 The Mummy, and it was a smash hit. And then he came back and he's like, oh, okay, well, now that Brendan Fraser did all the work for me, I'll just come in and make millions. No, put him in his place. Scientologist. Anyway, we can talk about it.
Thank God he turned it down. Thank God he turned it down because no one can do Rick like Brendan Fraser.
I think they also offered the roles to like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and
Leo DiCaprio apparently really wanted to do it, but he couldn't get his schedules in order.
Good. He already had a floppy hair movie in the 90s.
I was going to say he did have the
deserved
hair. But
he had that his time.
I don't really buy that he could hoist people overboard the way that Brendan Fraser was doing.
That's because 90s Brendan Fraser was like the body, you know, like
he was
like when you
was
think of,
the
like,
himbo
hot 90s like bods. I know some people will say Brad Pitt in Fight Club. They're wrong. It's all Brendan Fraser. Like,
it's Brendan for me, baby.
Me too.
Anyway, are we ready for our segments?
I think so.
segmentos.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, we start off our segments the same way every time, Ellen. It's the best part of the whole podcast. How could this movie be gayer?
Jonathan could
Should I go
kiss
first? Who's
every
going
single
first?
person on the mouth.
Yeah. I think Jonathan, he seems like somebody who would do a lot of kisses. So I just think it would actually really be great for his character, a great character study for him to do some kissing with Benny specifically for me, ideally. But
He could also kiss a mummy too. Like, I think that would be fun.
Oh, he was in bed with a mummy, so
What's
he
the
could have
little kiss?
easily in that moment did a little with its little skull.
the little smooch,
Yeah,
little
I
irreverent
think.
smooch. Yeah, I mean, the reason that we're doing this movie, besides the fact that it's Ellen's favorite movie and it's everyone's favorite movie, is because it is the quintessential bisexual movie.
Yeah.
And I read this really interesting article. It's on like I think Polygon. That's a website, right? Polygon.
That sounds
we're gonna.
right.
I
Yeah.
think that's right, but I could be wrong. And it's just like it's about like the queering of films that are like canonically straight. I know we're gonna find 20 ways to make it gay, but none of these people are like I'm gay on screen. It was 1999. But like it's got the sexiest cast. Everyone around there is making you feel horny if you're me or alive. And it was just a really and if you have eyes. It was a fun, like cool rumination though about like how like queer people like have to take what we can get and like create representation where we can. And it was just focused on this film and also Thor Ragnarok, so I think it's a really good read. But yeah, I mean, this movie inspired all of the millennials to figure their shit out, you know? And how could you not be so inspired? Again, look, I'm just staring into Rachel's eyes right now on the IMDb, and it's been very inspirational the whole episode.
I think that Evie and Anaxinamun could have had a little tension-breaking kiss in their fight scene, you know, on the table at the end.
I
Change
think
the whole
they're
rest of the
turning the
movie.
gaze right at each other.
Get rid of the end of the movie. She's still a mummy, an Oxynomen. She's still a mummy. They're fighting. Then all of a sudden they like get really close and they grab each other's wrists and they're like, oh my God, should we? And then they kiss. And the magic of their gay love turns an Oxynomen back into sexy golden painted body version of herself with the cool glitter hair. And then they live happily ever after. And Emotet just like, he can be around or he bursts into flames. Those are the two options.
Well, I mean, they could do an OT3 thing with them as well, because there was a line in the script that got cut where Rachel Weisz says that Imhotep is gorgeous the first time she sees him fully human. And obviously he likes her because he's kissing on her and projecting an Oxynomen onto her, which is a little weird because when he was doing that, I assumed it was because he was going to put an Oxynomen soul into her body because an Oxynomen's body is very old now. But that was not what he was doing at the end of the movie. So clearly he just also likes her. And I think that they could, you know, an Oxynomen and Evie could find solidarity and comfort and support in each other as well.
I love
blazing
this
their
OT3.
yeah, path in a man's world, etc.
Did you see that on Archives of Our Own? Did you see that?
I didn't, but that
What?
doesn't mean it's not there. It just doesn't mean it wasn't the top ships
It's
listed.
time to start writing.
When you can sort by romance. Yeah, but I mean, okay, so that's one OT3. Rick, Evie, and Ardith is another. They have lots of little moments where they are paralleling each other and being partners and acting in tandem. They have their hands on each other at several different times throughout the film. Evie doesn't really have a moment with Ardith per se, but he does his whole like save the girl thing. So I'm counting it. Like I said, there's like a little Ardith Jonathan flirtation at the end. Jonathan and Benny have some compatriot moments. Benny, I think, is a little slut. You can't tell me that he and Rick didn't have some friendly hookups when they had lonely nights being in the army. That's classic army behavior, first of all.
Well, okay, yeah. I just like hate this narrative you're painting where Benny is an option for Rick at all. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
He's a little boy toy. And
Pretty
everybody
big.
loves him. That's
Benny
him
the
and
boy
Imhotep
toy?
also.
It's called Punch Up, Monica. Okay.
Fair.
I'm not saying Rick seeks Benny out. I'm saying I think Benny's like, hey, I'm here whenever. And Rick's like, okay.
Okay, all right.
I'm at war. You know, there's not a lot of options. This is my pal Benny right here.
I could die at any moment.
Yeah. I just think that Benny's a bisexual icon and you could ship him with anybody with ease.
What if
With
Benny is the
ease.
reason that this movie inspired a generation of bisexuals?
Because
Because he was the blueprint.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Benny the bi blueprint.
But here's the thing. What is that thing where it's like bisexuals love the most beautiful woman ever and a man who looks like a literal rat?
Yeah, like a little worm man.
Oh no! Oh, over.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think nobody here is straight. I hesitate to say. All those American guys also were kissing each other, I think.
Oh yeah, come on. They're way too close.
That's the most American thing a man can do is kiss another man.
God bless.
Firing
the
their
United
guns, doing
States.
nighttime kisses. They kiss the homies goodnight, I think.
You gotta.
As you should. They're on a daring adventure. You got to give them a little soothing at the end of the night.
Okay, next segment.
Yeah. So where would Matthew Lillard, our boy, fit into this film? He could be Benny.
He could also
He
very
could be
easily be
Benny.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could.
Do you know what I was thinking actually when I watched it the first time is if you really wanted to make this movie gayer, not that I don't think that Rachel Weisz isn't wonderful, but if he played Evie and you gave him some little smart librarian moments and also some damsel in distress moments, I think he would have a lot of fun with it and I think he would kill it.
Okay, fair, but also
I would like to see him and
blasphemous.
Brendan Fraser kiss. So
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Rachel Weisz sorry to the guy who plays Jonathan, because I do really like him and I think he's wonderful. But if Matthew Lillard was playing the love interest for Rick O'Connell, I think we could give Rachel Weisz a different role.
he could be Jonathan.
Yeah.
Her loving shiny objects would make so much sense.
And then
Because
she
the
could just
88
be, yeah, she could be like a slutty little loosey-goosey rich Nepo baby who loves to party, like a little party girl, like a little party heiress.
A little party
She would shine
heiress.
in that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want this to happen, but like, okay, sure. I just
If we
love her little eyebrows.
Yeah, if we're creating a parallel universe that doesn't negate the existence of this version of the
Okay,
mummy, but we
fine,
get a second
fine.
version of the mummy.
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
in the remake. Oh my god. Okay, this is not the same movie, and I'm spoiling when we do the sequel because we will. But what if Matthew Lillard was the Scorpion King? Matthew Lillard as the Scorpion King. If you've seen that movie, you can picture that CGI at the end. Just picture that with Matthew Lillard. I won't say any more
Oh, yeah.
than that. Did you know
I can't picture it,
that-
but I trust that it's beautiful.
It
it's
is.
horrifying. It's a beautiful nightmare.
Okay.
This franchise is so important because this franchise launched The Rock's career.
Yeah.
Oh, was he
Mhm.
the Scorpion King?
He's the
Yes.
Scorpion King, and that was
Oh.
his debut role. I thought you'd seen it because you were talking about it. The sequel.
I have seen things on Tumblr, I guess. Maybe I saw it
Oh.
at one point, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, his first role is as the Scorpion King in Mummy Returns, the second one.
How interesting.
And then he's like really not in it very much. And then like people were so inspired that it spawned a spin-off movie series called The Scorpion King, and that was like his big first
Mm.
role, and everyone fell in love with him. And now we have Dwayne The Rock Johnson, highest paid actor in Hollywood.
Well,
I
there you
also
go.
have the Scorpion King Collector's Edition DVD. So
I've never
you know.
seen it. Does it slap? Medium.
Mm.
Medium.
Well, it
yeah,
doesn't
it's
slap.
medium. I would say it's medium. It's certainly not the
Okay.
Mummy. I'll leave it at that.
Well, it could never.
Interesting.
Sorry, Dwayne.
Interesting. But yeah, I think
Okay.
a lot of characters in the first one also, it was like their debut film role or like their first big role. You said somebody else at some point. And I think also the guy who played Ardith Bay, Oded Fair, it was his like first film role as well. So launched a lot of careers.
Yeah, it's important. It's part of film history. Okay. Which everything actually is if you think about it. But anyway. So that brings us to the age-old question: who's the dumb bitch in this movie? And it's Benny.
Why Benny? Unless you're
Benny's
just trying
not
to hurt my
dumb.
feelings. Yeah, Benny is one
Benny's
of the
not
smarties
dumb.
around here.
Fine, fair, but I was trying to be antagonistic because I love
Yeah, I
to
could
fight.
tell.
The warden is definitely the dumb bitch.
I'm gonna say it is all the people who are going to Egypt and being like, you know what? I'm gonna take all this stuff. It's mine now. Back to the British Museum we go. Like,
Literally grave
Fair.
robbing for the British monarchy of all things.
It's
Have a
all
little respect.
those Europeans coming to Egypt to eat all those mummies.
Mummies.
That's
Hungry.
the dumb bitch.
Mhm.
Wait, why the warden?
Why not the warden? He tries to steal the scarabs for what? He thinks he's gonna get a lot of money for a bug, and then they kill him.
Do you think he thinks it's like a little jewel?
No,
I
he
think
literally
so.
says, "Wow, blue gold." He literally says that in the movie. And we're like, "What
Mm.
about this?" Looks
He says
like
they'll
it's
catch
gold.
a mighty fine price, is what he says. But to me, that's just a bug. So I disagree. Hard disagree, and then he dies.
I guess I assumed that he
with his
thought
dick out.
like
With his
a
dick out.
little sculpture of a bug made of precious material.
He literally says blue gold. I don't know.
Why does that mean
promise.
bug to you though?
No, it is a
I do-
bug.
It
It's
is a
shaped
bug.
like a bug.
No, I know it's a bug because it's revealed to be a bug when it falls to the floor and cracks
It
open
looks
and then
like
crawls
a
into his
bug
body.
when it's there. It's
Have you
like
seen
a,
sculptures before? They look like the things that they're meant to look like.
I don't understand what your argument is here.
That he thought
Lost.
it was like a gem that was sculpted, or not a gem because you can't sculpt that, but like precious material sculpted to look like scarabs that were like implanted in the wall like art. And so he's like taking the gem out of the wall, is what I thought he was doing.
Well, if he had read his history, he would know about the home die curse and that the scarabs are involved in it. And if he's finding them in a tomb, maybe leave them there. Maybe just leave them there and let them carry out their curse. Don't fuck with
He's
it.
also literally dumb because he was trying to kill Brendan Fraser. So what the fuck? That's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. And also, do you remember the negotiation scene between Evie and him? And he's
Mhm.
like, she's
Oh,
like
yeah.
20 and he's like 20, she's like 40, and then she's like 30 and he's like 25, and he
Yeah.
like undercuts himself because he's an idiot. Yeah. He's
I also
pretty
do love the
fucking
moment on
dumb.
the boat where he's like, "What should I do?" And Brendan Fraser's like, "Wait here, I'll get help." And then he just goes overboard. And then the guy's like, "Okay," for 1 second. Then he's like, "Man." I don't think it's a bad nomination. I just wanted to hear your reasoning, because to me, the dumb bitches are the guys who read the chest that says "Don't open or you'll die," and then they immediately open it.
And also a little bit of Evie for reading out loud the
A little
thing.
bit
Just like
easy.
a little
Yeah.
bit, like we love her.
Yeah.
But girl, and also thinking she can man this trip by herself, like with like 3 other people. Girly, you are a librarian.
She
Know
did ride
your
that
strengths,
camel
but
faster
know
than
your
anybody else did.
weaknesses.
She
When
did that
she was
little
like-
tick, 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 tick. Yeah.
She did.
That was like sexual to me. That whole every part of that. I was like, wow, keep teaching it, girl. Oh my god. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I also think of those 3 of the guys who opened the death chest, I would
Mhm.
say that Dr. Alan Chamberlain is the dumbest bitch of them all, because he's actually probably the smartest, actually, but he's the most outwardly misogynistic and says, "What could a woman do?"
Yeah.
And so fuck him. I think we got a lot
And
of options though.
I'm willing to go with the Egyptologist, both because he's one of my nominations as a group, but he has the knowledge where you would really expect him to know better, more than the Americans, who of course are not going to be taking this seriously. But if he's an Egyptologist, he should be more familiar with customs and cultures enough to be like, maybe we don't risk it. And then they
Valid.
all
Yep.
stole an urn from in there, but then they left the broken one. If you're stealing for money, the broken one is still gonna get you money. Why would you leave it behind?
They didn't want to get a little cut.
Smart. Nomination revoked.
Who knows what series of diseases are on that? It had an organ in it, okay? Okay, I feel like it's like a tie for a lot of people, but the Egyptologist is up there. We got a lot of
There's
dumb fucks in this
Dumb
movie.
bitchery to go around. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that brings us to our knives out of 5s. And it's time for Chelsea to set the scene. Tell us, this got 15 Oscars, right? And
It did get nominated for an Oscar, actually.
Oh!
It got nominated for an Oscar for Best Sound, but don't get your
The
hopes
score,
up
I
otherwise,
said
because
the score.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Although sound is probably
Um,
not the music. Sound is probably like sound design.
It's this score's part
Whatever.
of that.
negligible, I think it still counts.
Yeah. But actually, the ratings on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes are lower than I would expect for the fanfare this movie has gotten, both at its release and over the years. Because on IMDb trivia, or not on trivia, but just regular IMDb, this movie has a 7.1 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 61% from critics, which is still fresh. And 75% from audiences, which is also fresh, but just like lower than I was expecting overall.
I feel rage. I feel rage.
Yeah, criminal.
It's surprising.
It should have
I think.
99%. It should be the highest rated thing on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, I do think there's room for improvement in this film. A lot of it is, I think, being a product of the 90s. Like, I mean, it was less racist than I thought when I watched it the second time around, because I was really not sure who we were supposed to be rooting for in the beginning. And then when I realized that the voiceover was Ardith Bay being like, we're the Magi and we're actually protecting the world from this horrible plague, I was like, okay, so like they're not being presented as these evil, mostly nameless, mostly they're just to die horribly villains. But they're, it wasn't the greatest portrayal overall. That said, again, it was the 90s. So the standards were not what they were culturally at the time. The storyline I think is great though. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's a strong script. I think there's strong performances from all of the actors. The CGI, I am sure, was very impressive at the time. Although that one time when the mummy, one of the priest mummies' faces gets like launched into the camera, I was like, did this movie come out in 3D? And was that like a 3D thing?
Because it's a little spook for you, a little scare.
I think the ride was in 3D, maybe. So that must be what I'm.
The ride? No, you don't wear glasses.
Well, I have a memory, but maybe I made it up. Yeah. All I really remember is the part where you're like going in the tunnel, and there must have been like screens on the walls or something, and then they like get covered in scarabs, and they do this like air effect so that you think they're climbing on you. And I didn't like it, and I still don't like it. But now it's Fast and the Furious.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
No. The what? The mummy ride?
Isn't it gone?
Do you think the mummy ride is gone? Oh, honey, let me tell you right now, it's still there. Don't worry.
What?
They would never get rid of that ride. No,
Why
it's
didn't
like
I go
such a
on it
good
last
ride.
time I was there?
No, the Fast and Furious is not a ride. It is it's part of the tram. I know I've gone in your
Oh,
like an
yeah.
insane amount of times. The Fast and Furious thing is like a weird like video screen thing that's part of the tram ride now. And I still like it because I'm a huge Fast and Furious girly. But no. And then also down there they have the Transformers ride. And that ride, I think you do wear glasses for that ride, which is in the same area. So maybe that's why you're thinking that. And that ride slaps, even though Transformers is a weak franchise.
I think the Mummy must have just been closed for construction or something last time I went.
It's right across from Jurassic Park. Don't worry.
Sad for me.
I would be enraged. You've seen how I am about how they got rid of Tower of Terror. So I would feel way even more furiously rageful.
Well, I'm glad to know. And I'm sorry for the lies that I've spread previously to
No,
others.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm here to set the record straight. It's
Smart.
all right. You're
Good.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so what's your rating?
I would say that I don't want to offend anybody, but I would say that generally I'm a little less passionate about the Mummy than everyone else seems to be. And I don't think you guys are wrong. I just think like it's not as for me as other movies have been. But I do still think it's really good, and I think it would have been better if Benny was the main character. Just kidding.
Oh my god.
No.
She's trying to fight me.
I just want her Benny's
fight you at the
series.
Americana tomorrow when we go see Megan.
But I would probably give it like a solid 4.8 knives out of 5s.
Hell yeah.
That's respectable. I thought you were going to say something really bad with how you went into that.
That's still like really good. That's still
I just feel a little peer pressure to do more. You know what I mean? Especially because
I'm not going to fight you on your score.
So is that
I'm
not
fight
your
you about
honest?
Benny, but I'm not going to fight you about your score.
No, I am honest. I powered through so bravely.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to go next, Ellen?
I mean, for me, it's obviously 5 knives out of 5. I mean, there's no other option. I think that this movie is so formative for me in my like understanding of what a good romance is, good dynamic between characters who are falling in love, all of those delicious things I love about stories. Like it played such a big role in that for me growing up, and I've watched it probably every year of my life, and so it is like so close to my heart that even if it was very bad, I think I would still give it 5, just because it's like mine in a way that I'm sure a lot of people feel like it's theirs. I agree that there are probably some ways that it could be better, but I would not change anything about it. So that's what I'll say.
I'm right there with you. This is a 5 out of 5 for me too. It's just so much fun. I like did not plan my week well to make time to watch this movie, so I watched part of it yesterday and then the rest of it this morning at 6:30 in the morning, and it was a beautiful way to start my day. I was like in and out of consciousness, but I've like seen it enough times that that didn't matter at all. It's so good. It's so soothing. It does have some fun, good scares too, and stuff that makes me go ick the big time. Wow, something happened to me. I don't know. I'm just emotional.
Ick the big.
The big. I just started to do a little beatboxing. I'm sorry.
Not
But
just
yeah, I
regular ick, but ick the big.
I was saying big. Anyway, I love this movie. It's so good. I'm so glad we are starting off 2023 on such a high note.
I'm gonna do a 4.5 out of 5 and the only reason is that it's over 2 hours long, and I think it's like a tad shorter. And I had to watch it 3 times because I couldn't focus, but I gotta watch it 3 times. So but oh
A little
god,
present for you. Yeah.
I like could not focus on this movie. I was like, there was just so much going on and like different things, and I was like, oh my god.
It's fair. That's fair. Wasn't the vibe at the moment, but thank you for still giving it a nice score.
Well, that's it for our episode on The Mummy. It is a beautiful film with our beautiful guest, Ellen O'Clover. Before you go, would you like to tell all of our spookies where they can find you and your book online or in bookstores even, maybe?
Yeah, I would love to. So my book, 7% of Ro Devereaux, comes out a week from today, January 17th. It is about a senior in high school who creates a future predicting app based on the game MASH for her senior project. And when it unexpectedly goes viral, she and her app predicted perfect match, who also happens to be her ex-best friend / enemy, are thrust together as the app's spokespeople and have to navigate their senior year as it starts to spiral out of control. You can find it anywhere books are sold. It's available for pre-order now. And you can learn more about me and my books at www.ellenoclover.com. And I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Ellen O'Clover.
Yay!
That sounds so
That's
good.
my spiel.
I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
Great spiel.
I'm a big YA girly, and so I'm in.
Maybe this will be our book club book.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
you guys are not going to hear it on the episode, but if you go to social at some point in the next week, you can find all 4 of us playing a very special game of Mummy Mash. So Ellen and I have prepared that for the 4 of us to play, and we'll leave a blank one for anybody who wants to play at home later.
Oh my God, that sounds so much fun. I can't wait. Okay, so next week is a very, very special week because it's one that Chelsea has been waiting for. For how long has it been since the trailer came out?
I've been waiting my whole life. I think I always knew it was on its way.
Fair. You want to tell him?
Yeah, I mean, you know how we love to take a special little themed event here and actually bring it back for a 1-week sequel. So instead of doing Sharky 1 week, we're doing Doll 1 week next week because
Doll
week. We just have to give Megan her full respect, and our new bestie, our new member of the family, Megan, is hitting theaters. It's already out by the time you're listening to this episode. I've seen it already. Everyone else needs to catch up.
I'm watching it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to talk about, I think. I can't wait to discuss it.
As a listener, can you believe that we are returning to the James Wan universe so soon after we just shat on Insidious for an hour and a half just a month ago? But we're coming back. See, we can have an open mind, I think.
I think, but he didn't direct it, and he's one of the story writers, but he's not one of the screenplay writers. So I think he was a big idea guy for it, and I love that for him.
He gave it a little kiss, and then he let it go, and then he said,
"Be free." Yeah, and then Megan came straight into our lives to make everything better.
Wow, I can't wait to have my life changed. It's gonna be beautiful. Also, it's the new year. It's 2023, and just in time, you guys got us to our goal for 2022, which is to get 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and we're very excited about it. That said, we can always do more, and we always want more compliments. So let's set the bar low. I'm looking for 150. That's my next That's my stretch goal for 150. So why not go and make our day and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify? We got a lot of reviews on there too. We're getting close to 100 over there too. And why not follow us on all of our social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And don't forget, it's a new year. You might have a new YouTube video coming for you. Maybe. You don't know. And if you don't subscribe, you'll never find out. So do that. And thanks for listening. Happy New Year, babies.
Bye, spookies.
Well, if it ain't my little buddy Benny, I think I'll kill you.
Think of my children.
You don't have any children.
Someday I might.
Shut up.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.